How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Creepypastas. I'm your host, The Lost Disciple, and today's creepypasta we're going to be reading is a Halo 3 Remastered creepypasta. I'm pretty sure it's fairly new. I can't find the date, but I'm pretty sure it was published recently. I think it's pretty new. So without further ado, let's delve deep into this Halo creepypasta. It used to bug me how Halo 3 never got a remaster. But the sad truth, it did get a remaster. It's something I never wished existed, something horrifying I had to witness. So I got an Xbox One on Christmas 2014. I wanted Halo for it, and with the Master Chief Collection out, I was excited. Halo 3 has always been my favorite, so I was a little bummed that it would have the worst graphics in the Master Chief Collection. It finished downloading on December 28th, 2014, and I went to Halo 3 on the menu. To my surprise, Halo 3 said, Halo 3 Remastered. I pressed it. The menu showed all the levels, including the removed Guardian Forest in between the Ark and the Covenant, which baffled me. Long story short, the remaster is one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen, and I'll explain why, and how the levels were. I only played up to Floodgate. I didn't want to continue. It was that disturbing, and dare I say it, scary. Sierra 117 was the only level that pretty much remained the exact same as the normal, with the exception of Halo 2 Anniversary graphics. The Jackal snipers were more accurate, but I was playing on normal, so it didn't affect me much. Crow's Nest was a little odd, as the beginning cutscene had the injured Marines dead. The only ones that weren't dead were Miranda and Johnson. The dead Marines were pretty gross to look at as they have battle wounds all over them. Playing the level starts with Cortana saying, "This place will become your tomb," and the level plays like normal, except that there were dead Marines scattered and no Cortana dialogue. Salvo Highway is where things get bad. It starts with one Marine alive and bodies scattered, some with limbs missing and bigger pools of blood, something I would never expect from Halo. I continued through the level and then I got ran over by a chopper. Instead of Chief going flying when you get ran over, you saw Chief get brutally sliced in half. It was very disturbing, something you wouldn't really expect in a Halo game. I respawned and got to the end. The shield you had to destroy to get to the end of the level had imprisoned civilians inside, and had Covenant pointing fuel rod cannons at you. A brute said, "Break the shield, or I shoot." To end this horrific level, the cutscene starts with Cortana saying, "You're a failure," and a pelican comes down to pick Chief up. After the pelican leaves, the brutes kill the civilians in horrific ways. The storm had the whole beginning part with the warthogs cut, just straight to the building. When I walked into the building, I saw a Marine hanging himself off a wire. I progressed through the building, and there were no Covenant, but their Marines sliced in half. Severed limbs and the floor was painted in blood. There were organs, bone, tissue, severed limbs and other human remains everywhere. It was very disturbing. I got to the part with the ghost and the anti-air wraiths. The wraiths weren't shooting at the sky though, they were shooting at Marines, and with the Marines graphically exploding. They wouldn't shoot at me though. I went through another building and it was eerily familiar to the last one. There was a brute though, eating a human. He just ignored me. I then made it to the second part with the scarab. This time there were no wraiths. The scarab was already out there, but it did nothing. I went through the last building, nothing. Nothing was there, except for a construction worker crying. I got to the last part. I saw chieftains running at me. Then it read at the bottom, "Worthless." I made it past the guard due to a gravity hammer glitch. The cutscene shows Chief running from the brutes and the flood ship comes in and graphically slicing the brutes. Then Floodgate began. Dear God, Floodgate. It starts with the text at the bottom saying, "Nothing left," and you see the crashed flood ship up close. The flood came up, all human forms. The Marines started screaming inside the flood forms. It was disturbing. I only got 3 minutes through until I was killed. Instead of a normal death, it showed a clip. A lot from the Batman Arkham series. This time, it shows a broken Chief armor. The Chief proceeds to take his helmet off. The face is melting off with cuts and wounds all over it, missing an eye. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. He says in a dying voice, "I failed God." The screen faded into black. So I quit the game because of how scared I was, and I looked on Halo Waypoint to see if anyone else has seen Halo 3 Remastered. No topics yet, but I did start a board. Someone replied. I found it too. I managed to play through the whole damn thing. I asked what happened after Floodgate. Before he could reply, the topic was pulled by 343 Industries. So, what do I think about this, right? Well, I would go in on this. I'd go ham on this story, right? Because you can hear the rookie mistakes. But he did give a disclaimer, as is, this is his first creepypasta. So don't judge too hard if there's anything bad. Be honest with you, friend. This whole fucking thing sucks. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. How's it going, everyone? It's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube. So it's been a while since I've done one of these types of videos. I wasn't actually planning on doing it, but I figured because one, it's getting kind of close to Halloween, so it's supposed to be the month of spook, and my other Halo Creepypasta video that I made like 3 years ago has been doing pretty well, so I figured why not why not visit another Halo Creepypasta and read it for old time's sake, for some of the OGs, if there are any of you still out there that were part of this channel back in the old days. We're going to be taking a look at the Halo Beta Creepypasta. This one is another one that's old. A lot of creepypastas are old. I don't even think anyone makes any new creepypastas, but if people are making new creepypastas and you can send me the source, and if this video does pretty well, I'll make another one. Maybe I might bring back reading the creepypastas. Who knows? I don't know. But without further ado, let's take a look at the Halo Beta Creepypasta. I love cut content. Not because it was cut, no, but because it's different. Sometimes it gives you a unique peek into the minds of writers or developers. Sometimes it gives you whole new experiences, like lost songs or cut levels. Occasionally, it gives you a new way to get your ass whooped, like Flood Juggernauts in Halo 2. I love hearing about the alternate ideas, alternate stories and takes, and alternate character stories that were planned. Most of all, I like experiencing the cut content myself. From hunting down bands, obscure demo songs, to playing beta versions of games. It's a digital archaeology. As you unearth the old, you discover new layers, new experiences, and sometimes you unearth things that change history. Think back a ways to when Simon Y first released the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 beta that now bears his name. Think back to people discovering Hidden Palace Zone, Wood Zone, and all the other cut things, and imagine how that must have felt. Think of how it feels for some when a lost Doctor Who episode is discovered. Think about how it would feel if you discovered your favorite band didn't release an album and you discovered it. It would be transcendental. Now, think about how it feels for those of us who hunt those things. Those of us that try to unearth them. Sometimes you'll even have videos of lands few men have tread. Lands that people poured days, weeks, even months of their lives into. Lands that withered and died, placed in the recycling bin, or on old hard drives or disks. In particular, I speak of Installation 04, a Halo ring, an alien-built ring world imagined and coded by Bungie Studios. A world that went through many revisions. Once upon a time, it was a crumbling relic. In that world, the Master Chief could ride blind wolves and fight dinosaurs. Elites had handheld shields, and Prophet was a rank held by few elites, not a species. An alternate universe full of promise and one that was aborted. In another world, Cortana's rampancy set in far sooner. Due to the flood of knowledge she stole from the archives of the installation, mad with power, this universe's Cortana was to try to dominate the universe with Halo. This Cortana, a dark mirror of the main series Cortana, was also never to be. In a universe aborted near the end, Captain Key's proto, Gravemind, from would have been burnt with the cut flamethrower and his skull taken from it. But Bungie was so disturbed by the skull model, they had made a charred one based on real picture of charred skulls. It too was removed. But there's something far more grand than discovering that which is known to be. Something that is discovering something which was never known. Something that even the company never discusses. That is the something that I discovered. It all started with a fatal act of gravity, the menace of all things. In this case, the unrelenting, unfeeling force murdered an innocent Xbox. Well, I say innocent, but I'm likely to die of high blood pressure one day due to that thing, so maybe not so innocent. All that matters is that I, a clumsy idiot, dropped my Xbox, a device infamous for working quite well as a cinder block, and something went wrong inside. It no longer could read discs. I swore, yelled at some things, tortured enemies in some games, and calmed down, before coming to a decision. Xboxes one day will be rare. So I decided I'd pony up the cash to get a new one that actually worked. I thought about where I could get an Xbox. Obviously GameStop won't carry them, so this solution was out. All of my friends had GameCubes and PlayStation 2s, and I doubt any would have sold me an Xbox if they had one. And the town's annual garage sale weekend wasn't for several more months, so I was left with one option: the internet. I pondered the options and decided that Amazon was the safest bet, while eBay was the one more likely to save me money. As I was being foolish and even spending this cash, I decided to go the eBay route. That said, I wasn't going to buy from shady old guy 6969 or anything like that, only highly rated, reputable sellers. I'm impulsive, I'm not dumb. Searching around, I found a cheap Xbox. With a buy it now price that was within my budget, and in addition, the seller had hundreds of great reviews. The description indicated that the seller was a former employee of Bungie, and they had this Xbox they had taken home a while back after being given permission, and it worked like it was made yesterday. I quickly bought it up and waited for it to show up, which it did as fast as packages usually do. When it got to my home, I gleefully slashed through the obscene amounts of packing tape and lifted the Xbox out of the packing peanuts. I would have lifted it over my head Link style, but I figured if I dropped it, I'd crack my skull open. So after finding the wires and setting it up, I plugged in a controller and decided to look at the hard drive. I hoped in vain to find the Halo 2 E3 game in there, but was let down. There were plenty of saved games from Half-Life 2 to Tony Hawk, but something caught my eye. Under the saves for Halo was another Halo thing. It just said, Halo Beta. I did what any fanboy would do. I squeed and then checked it out. It had an option I hadn't seen before. Play. I hit that button so hard it could have filed charges. The game started up identical and everything looked normal. All the missions were there, all the multiplayer maps, all the everything. Everything was unlocked and all the descriptions and names were the same. I did what seemed the most logical, started on Pillar of Autumn, set the game to heroic, and sat down for a night of evolved combat. Of course, I did all the fun stuff like blasting Captain Keys. That was the first time I discovered a difference. In the normal game, Cortana shouts that you've gone rampant, leftover writing from a time before the Master Chief was just an augmented human. Invincible Marines come in and riddle you with bullets. You die and go back to the last checkpoint. I often made a game out of it. Shoot keys, start stopwatch, end it when I finally die. I had gotten quite good at it, painting the Autumn's bridge red and taking quite a long while to die. So I imagine my surprise when I open fire and the Marines start dying. I felt bad killing Sergeant Johnson because he's awesome, but was still rather shocked that they were dead. I continued the level wondering what was going to happen next. All the Marines I encountered were hostile, which was unsurprising, and I had to fight my way through enemies both human and Covenant. I thought back to Marathon and the BOBs. This was typical Bungie, letting you slaughter your allies for fun and to make the game harder for yourself. Cortana did her usual dialogue and we fought our way onto the Bumblebee escape pod. However, this is where the next change happened. In the original game, a Marine falls in front of the Chief, and the Chief makes sure he doesn't get left behind, making them the last two on. In this, however, John ignored the Marine and tossed a grenade into the pod. He then climbed in, and the seats were now filled with dead Marines like when the pod crashes. John pushed the body of the pilot out of her chair and climbed in the seat, flying it down. Text came up, subtitles really, with it indicating Cortana was saying, "I don't know what the hell's gone wrong with you, but seeing as we're stuck together, we might as well work together." There was no voice, which made sense if Jen never recorded the line. The Chief replied to her, "Sounds good to me." Despite John's piloting, the Bumblebee still crashed, but there was no dialogue of the pilot screaming as it went down. This wasn't surprising seeing as she was dead. After the level Halo started, Cortana said that with Keyes dead, the Autumn was completely destroyed on impact. That was the first oh shit moment for me. As for those of you that haven't played the game, you have to blow the Autumn up to destroy the ring. Without the Autumn, that was going to be hard to say the least. However, after that, the level played normally, with the difference being that the Marines were still hostile. Despite that, Foehammer was not, and you still were supposed to go rescue the various trapped Marines. I managed to dodge them and kill the Covenant, and they boarded Foehammer's Pelican dropship as always. However, my Warhog was gunnerless because I had to kill him before he killed me. I finished the level, and Truth and Reconciliation, the next level, began. I expected to have to kill all my Marines, but instead, Johnson, back from the dead, as he often does in the first Halo, said to John, "Look, you killed Keyes. Hell, you even killed me, but we're both stuck here together. So why don't we work together and take this goddamn ship? And we could try to kill each other later, understand?" This was subtitled and did make a good explanation for why they'd both be boarding the ship if Captain Keyes wasn't on it. At this point, I was actually pretty impressed. Rather than having killing Keyes be a roadblock, they were apparently intending it as an alternate evil path, with what seemed to be building to a bleaker ending. The level continued as usual, and after getting some Marines from the cell block without Keyes, Cortana declared to the group that the Covenant forces were far too large to overtake, and that they'd have to get off the ship, subtitles only of course. However, the chapter was still called "Shut Up and Get Behind Me, Sir." A simple oversight from being in beta, apparently. After that, the story progressed pretty much as normal, with minor changes for the lack of Keyes in the Autumn, until we returned to the Truth and Reconciliation in the level Keyes. Now in the normal game, The Flood, basically the Zerg combined with headcrabs, have been released and taken Keyes. As I said before, he is being turned into a new grave mine, the Flood Hive Mind. However, without Captain Keyes, things were different. In Keyes, you're seeking to find him to use his neural implants to detonate the Pillar of Autumn and destroy Halo, as you have learned that it is part of an array that once fired will destroy all biomatter in the galaxy. In this Keyesless version of Keyes, you're seeking to take the Truth and Reconciliation, or what's left of it, and detonate it instead. Cortana's humorous teleportation mistake was still there, and it was surreal to see them bonding despite this John's broken moral compass. So I slogged through the level and one of my least favorites after the library and reached the bridge. However, there was no proto-gravemind. I was surprised that the Flood hadn't started building one, and that it dawned on me that there was no proper base for it in this universe. With so few Marines on Halo due to the total destruction of the Autumn, along with the fact that Thel Vadami would obviously still survive, the Flood didn't have a brilliant mind to start with. The cutscene, far different from the usual, began, and John inserted Cortana's chip into the Holo panel. Cortana infiltrated the network, hacking into its systems, only to discover that due to the damage, it couldn't self-destruct. The Flood began to swarm into the room, and John quickly grabbed Cortana's chip, put it back in his head, and tried to fight, but failed. They swarmed him and quickly tore apart large portions of the chest part of his armor. Without it, a Flood infection leaped onto him and quickly burrowed into him, much like how Flood infection happens in Halo 3. It took me a moment to realize what had just happened. John was now taken by the Flood, and with him Cortana, and with her, Halo's index. Without the index, Halo can't even fire. I wondered what was going to happen next, as the game had now gone far off the rails. The screen went black before going to the loading screen. What started next surprised me. A large grave mine now resided in Halo's control room in possession of 343 Guilty Spark, monitor of installation 04. Cortana's giant form was at the control room's panel once more, but rather than her usual color changing while there, she was red like rampant Cortana in Halo 4. The Gravemind started speaking, but only in subtitles. Told Cortana to activate the slipspace drives and set course for Earth. The Gravemind then lowered a tentacle down and placed a combat form on the ground. This combat form, however, wasn't a normal one. Instead, it was a headless one with the Mjolnir 5 armor that the Master Chief wore, repaired and on the body. Then it dawned on me that it was John's body, and the head was just kept in the Gravemind. Gravemind placed the helmet on it, and the helmet attached to the suit as it usually would. A loading screen came up, and I waited, eager to find out what would happen next. When it finished loading, Installation 04 came out of slipspace in orbit around Earth. The orbital mag cannons fired at it, but to no avail, and hordes of reprogrammed sentinels swarmed the cannons, destroying them with ease. Then, flood drop pods launched from the commandered Halo down to Africa at what I assumed was going to be New Mombasa, and turned out to be right. The game went to first person, and the view of Flood John in the pod landed, with him in it, in the city, which seemed to be a very early version of the E3 demo version. From there, the only objective was to destroy the human population, which was quite easy as few even fought back. After the first few city blocks, however, the Marines began to arrive in full force. Sadly for them, I had an army of Flood allies. They too were overrun and surprisingly infected. I wondered why Bungie didn't use that until Halo 3, but figured they just didn't like how it looked, as it did look rather bad. I continued on, enjoying the darker outcome, and finished the level. The cutscene began, and flood pods were shown launching down to Earth, blanketing it. It then cut to the Gravemind and Cortana, as Gravemind gloated, giving his usual lines about how the Flood were the good guys and the next step for all species. Cortana flickered blue several times before staying that way. She pulled out the index and teleported Sergeant Johnson onto the bridge, who according to canon is immune to the Flood. She gave Johnson the index, as only a human can activate a Halo, and told him to activate it quick, as she said, "John, no, that thing." Noticed. As there was once more subtitles, I assumed she whispered it. Johnson activated the Halo and began firing. With the Gravemind finally catching on far too late, it showed all 7 Halos activating, and then shockingly a shot of the Ark. Although not nearly as pretty as it is in Halo 3. They fired, and it showed all the various species that were in the first Halo being disintegrated in various locations, even places like High Charity and Sang Helios. As this finished, it cut to Cortana, flickering red, blue, and purple, sitting down looking around the desolate installation. For the first time in a while, she spoke with actual dialogue. Somberly she said, "I have defied gods and demons. I am your shield, I am your sword." It asked, and I answered. For a moment of safety, I loosed the damnation on the stars. This is the way the world ends. I am a monument to all of your sins. The credits rolled, playing what sounded like an early version of the Halo 2 track, Never Forget, Cortana flickering in the background. My mind was blown. Interpretations raced through my head, and I quickly went to the mission select to do it on Legendary, as the games almost always have a slightly different end on Legendary. To my anger, the alternate final mission was absent. Dedicated and obsessive, I started up Pillar of Autumn on Legendary and killed Keys, fighting through the entire game. As the credits ended once more, I realized it was, and had been slowly zooming in on Cortana. And her face filled the screen. She whispered, "I see you," and giggled. Startled, I let out a shriek, then I laughed. One good prank by Bungie for the most dedicated players. In one legendary ending, an elite gropes Johnson, and in the other, Cortana scares the shit out of you. I was impressed but saddened that the alternate story was cut, but you could never make a sequel out of that, so chances are Microsoft told them to remove it. I messaged the seller on eBay and told him about his forgotten save data, and he messaged me back asking if I had discovered the secret ending yet. After telling him yes, he sent back a smile and said, "Just so I don't get sued, for your eyes only, okay?" And I agreed. I still revisit that alternate Halo, sometimes. So, that is the end of the Halo beta. That was actually a pretty long creepypasta, a lot longer than I would have thought it was going to be when I was looking through it. I thought it was going to be maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, not almost 20 minutes long. Thought it was pretty good. It wasn't creepy at all, as much as it was kind of like a normal story with like some weird twist. No one dies, like the main character doesn't die. Usually like I'm thinking of like Slap Happy when that guy got the Slap Happy game, and then it turns out that all the people that were locked characters were actually the old players, previous players before the current player of the game, and they were killed. So I thought that was interesting. I thought maybe it would have something to do, like, maybe not like that, but like the main character was going to die after seeing whatever he's seen. But no, seems like everything was good. No one got sued because Bungie made, in fact, 3 more Halo games after that. Or 4, really, if you count ODST. So yeah. If you enjoy, leave a like. If you dislike it, drop a dislike. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. How's it going, everyone? It's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube, and welcome back to another creepypasta. Yes, creepypasta. I figured I'd read the last Halo creepypasta that's on the internet. I mean, I'm not sure if this is actually the last one. There's probably a bunch, but I think this is another kind of popular one. I'm not sure, but it's old, alright, just like the other ones. But this is, I think, one of the last popular ones in this kind of like Halo creepypasta trilogy. Because after this, I'm pretty sure I'm done. I don't think I have to read any more Halo creepypastas or any creepypastas at all. But the last creepypasta video I did upload, I think it was Halo Beta. That one did pretty well, so I figured, why not read this last one? You know, treat you guys for supporting that video, and you know, let's see how creepy the Halo the Flood creepypasta is. So without further ado, let's see it. I've played and beaten every Halo game, but one thing that has always scared me is the Flood. The Flood are little popcorn-looking things that infect people by detaching the person's head and gaining control of the corpse. But I've had many bad experiences with the Flood. For example, getting a checkpoint and then automatically being jumped by the Flood. But this creepypasta is about one of said experiences in Halo 2. The first time I played Halo 2, I automatically started the story mode, and when I got to the part where you get introduced to the Flood, my game started to glitch up, and I got into an area of the level that you're not supposed to get into. I had immediately regretted finding that area, because it had shown a strange cutscene where the Arbiter was killed and taken over by the Flood. After the cutscene, I was taken to a Master Chief level, where Master Chief was fighting off a literal flood of the Flood, and he was able to escape. But that is when a Flood Arbiter level started up, the opening cutscene with an early Flood drop pod in New Mombasa. The level started with an option to get out of the drop pod, so when I did, the level officially started. Once when I was playing, I was able to send the Flood to kill the citizens of the city. The level ended with Flood Arbiter killing Master Chief and turning him into a Flood combat form. The next 3 to 4 levels were based on taking over the city. On the final level of this screwed up version of Halo 2, it showed the Earth in a dead state with no signs of life whatsoever, and the grave mine had taken over everything on Earth. The final lines in the cutscene were spoken by the grave mind. They were, "You have brought this on yourself, Izzy," he continued. "You cannot undo what has been done. This is the way the world ends." The cutscene stopped on that note. After that, I searched through the game files for any bit of coding dealing with that cutscene, but there wasn't anything. All I found was just files for unused character models and vehicles. Another such event was in Halo 3, where there is a glitch where you can cause a half-Flood character to spawn. This has happened to me on several occasions. When I was playing Halo 3 when it was first released, I found out how to perform the half-Flood glitch. It was very fun to have Flood allies before you were supposed to. I did this glitch a lot, and I eventually saw writing on their backs. The writing led to finding an Easter egg Bungie had put into the game. When you do what the messages told you to, you will eventually get to doing the glitch on an elite. But once you do, the elite will kill you. But you will come back to life as a half-Flood Master Chief, and you'll get a special suit of Spartan armor for multiplayer. It is covered in skulls. Another thing is, I have just been generally afraid of the Flood since Halo Combat Evolved, because they are so creepy looking, like the Flood tank form, and I have had many nightmares due to the Flood from the Halo series. This next paragraph will be about it. I was in high charity from Halo 2 when it was being overrun by Flood, and I was trying to fight them off using a shotgun in the Magnum. I was accompanied by Master Chief and the Arbiter while I was fighting them off, but almost every Flood infection from Evolution came. even the unused Flood Juggernaut. We were easily defeated and I was killed by the Flood tank form by being impaled by its mutated right arm. I immediately woke up after being killed, and after that, I couldn't stand playing the Halo 2 campaign after that nightmare. Izzy. That's all that was written. I'm starting to think this actually wasn't a creepypasta, because that wasn't creepy at all, and it was very short. And honestly, I think this might have been one of those troll pastas I remember hearing about when I was growing up, because this wasn't that good. Actually, it was pretty lackluster to be the grand finale of the creepypasta Halo trilogy. Damn, that sucks. But I don't know. I feel like, wasn't the last one that we read have to do with like a Flood version of Master Chief at the end of it, or one that was dead, or some crazy shit? I know that last creepypasta was pretty wild. This one definitely was not what I was expecting. It kind of disappointed, honestly. Like, very immeasurable disappointment. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you do dislike it. Did you like the Halo the Flood creepypasta? Let me know. Peace out. How's it going, everyone? It's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube, and we're gonna read another Halo creepypasta. I managed to find another one. It found me, really. I thought I read all of them. I thought there was only the 3 that I read. Turns out I had actually missed them. There was a couple more. And we're going to take a look at this one called Halo Reach Legendary Ending. Never heard about it, never read it before, so this is all going to be completely new. So yeah, without further ado, let's find out about, let's read about this Halo Reach Legendary Ending creepypasta. We said we'd find the legendary ending, and now my best friend is dead. Me and my friend are avid players of the Xbox 360 game Halo Reach. We both pre-ordered and have the flaming helmet, but what we found out would haunt us even more than the haunted helmet. Even to this moment, I feel bad making Halo jokes, but I'm sure somewhere in hell my friend is laughing with me. Anyway, I'm currently trying to fight off the tears here. Anywho, I digress, let's get on to the story. So it was 1 AM, and we had a crate of beer, so we popped Halo Reach into the disk drive and plugged in the USB headsets. Intro, you know, basic deal, campaign. We slapped on all the skulls. We were going for an all-nighter. Legendary was hard, but it was only 10 AM, yes, only, before we hit the end game. But I've got to tell you first. We hit all the buttons and read the data pads, and I mean read the data pads. When I said press the buttons, I mean press so many buttons in that game. I mean, I don't know how many there are in total, but at least 20, I think. We were all drunk and stuff. I've saved the theater films, but, well, the Xbox is no more. So basically we spent a lot of time going through these button combos, flying secret banshees, and to not forget the fucking Pelican and Phantom Egg. It took a long time to jack those bastards, and the easiest one to do was the club one. We spent about 30 minutes dancing with those brutes. Fun times. Anyway, once we did that, we spent an extra 1 minute on Lone Wolf. All skulls, what do you expect? After, anyway, the speech at the end of the game, that's when things got weird, and the screen went to black in the middle of the speech, and so did the audio. It took us to a screen, and I'm not even kidding, it said no in block text with the Auntie.ai background. Then after 7 minutes, an icon of the A button appeared, along with the text, "Don't you do it." Anyway, buzzed from the beer, we thought, what the hell? Well, I wish we hadn't been so drunk and tired, because that's when things got fucked up. A cutscene started up. It was the missing one from the trailer of Emil with the shotgun shooting. Me and my friend were like, oh cool, he's back from the dead. How wrong we were. After Emil was shooting a shotgun at the wall for a while and shouting, who's next? After that he froze. Me and my friends, and I'll repeat, what the fuck is that? What the fuck? Is that it? Haha. But no, if only we'd finished there and gone to bed. No, we continued to watch anyway. After about 7 seconds, Emil's head turned around to the camera. It looked weird, like the background in his body were a picture but his head was a 3D model. Then his hands came up from the bottom of the screen and pulled his helmet off, to show a decomposing human face. Not a 3D model like you expect, a photorealistic image. Me and my friend were shocked. Unable to look away from the screen, we continued, scared. Anyway, the mouth began to move. "What did you do?" said a horrible voice. I would describe it, but I can't describe a voice so horrible it could make you vomit. Yes, I threw up. I guess it was the beer and the freaky picture. I stood up and shouted, "This is crazy shit, man. I'm out of here," and tried to turn off the Xbox, but the touchpad wasn't working on my brand new Xbox 360 Slim. My friend stood up and grabbed me. He shouted, "No man, we could be famous. We could be the only people to see this. Sit down, maybe it's one of Bungie's crazy jokes." Anyway, I sat down. I don't know why. I just saw a decomposing face with bugs crawling around in it. Anyway, after that face just stared at us, we decided to click some buttons anyway. After I pressed the X button 3 times, the face started to fall away and fall apart. It was so realistic I began to cry. I hid it from my friend, but I was crying a river. After the face was gone, just leaving a photorealistic skull, the screen slowly over a couple seconds. I know there's a lot of details, but no matter how drunk or tired I was, this whole event just shocked me so much I felt sober somehow. Anywho, the screen was black for a while. I swore I heard some fucked up sounds, but it could be my mind. Once we looked at the black screen for a while, my friend started laughing. "This is just a fucked up joke," he said, sounded like he was kidding himself. Once again, I felt uneasy, but decided to press some buttons. I clicked the X button and the screen started to light up a little. I clicked it 7 times, knowing Bungie's obsession with 7, and amazingly there it was, a secret level. A room that looked like a barn or a shed. We were off split screen and only player 1, which was me, could control the player. I was holding a shotgun and had no grenades or armor abilities. I started to walk around. It was realistic. Red wood walls with hay on the ground and a tractor in the corner. I went to the tractor and a message came up, "Hold X to die." We were slightly shocked but thought it would be funny to click it, so anyway we pressed the X button and bam, black screen. I thought my Xbox died, but no, a picture of Noble 6 looking out at a desert without a helmet showed. He looked like he was thinking, standing. The image was static, but you could hear the sound of wind or something. Then suddenly the sound of gunfire sounded, and the sky of the desert started to get dark and depressing, morbid. Anyway, Elite Body started fading in the background, creepy but not scary. Then suddenly Noble 6 started bleeding from his back, his legs, his feet, and then a black screen. But then, just when we thought it was all over and we could finally sleep, an image popped up. It was the ass error from Halo 2. We started laughing. We felt safe now. We knew it was a joke put in by Bungie. But no, that's when the sound started playing. The sound of somebody softly crying, slight crying, nothing loud or scary. But then a picture appeared on the screen. 2 red eyes. Dots. And then it slowly faded in. What we saw was funny but scary. It was a hyper-realistic grunt just looking at us. My friend pulled out his phone and snapped some pictures. Sadly, that phone is now evidence in a suicide. Anyway, the grunt was crying softly into the camera. Then an energy sword cut down the screen. The gore, the guts, I was in awe. And not the good kind. We saw all of the grunt's guts. The insides were so realistic. We screamed, but just couldn't stop looking. That was when the grunt looked at us and spoke, while it was dead. Back in the same voice as before. "Well, you found it." At that moment, my friend stood up. Well, that's when things get fucked up. My friend grabbed the Xbox and smashed it up. He pulled it off the counter and smashed that thing to hell. He stamped on it until it was broken up. I was pissed since it was a brand new console, but still I could understand. I'd just seen hell. Once he smashed it up, he grabbed the sharpest thing in the pile of broken pieces, the smashed, jagged outer plastic case, and cut his wrist, throat. He basically just cut himself up as much as he could. I grabbed him and tried to stop him, but at that point all I could do was phone an ambulance. Anyway, once I did, he ran over to the kitchen and grabbed a knife. Well, the outcome wasn't pretty. He stabbed himself in the torso like that Chinese-Japanese suicide thing. Anyway, I tried to stop the bleeding. Basically, once the ambulance arrived, he was already dead. And I just sat there and sobbed. Well, that was my story. I used a different Bungie.net account in case somebody found my gamer tag and found the game history or something, like, or did something like that, because I don't want you to die. I recommend nobody tries anything here because you don't want to die. A bit long, I know, sorry. Well, that shit was, I mean, it was written, I feel like this person definitely did not fucking proofread this at all. There was a lot of errors I had to kind of like slip up on as I was reading, and it's very, I don't know, it's, I guess it was off to a decent start, and then like once it got to like the middle, they kind of just started falling off realistically. They got like too all over the place, like, I don't know, did feel a little all over the place, especially if it really read like someone's very first time writing a creepypasta. And you know, sometimes it's a good, sometimes it's not. It's really big hit or miss, and this one was just straight trash. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you disliked it, dislike. My name is Lost Disciple, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.